marginally indignant young gal who said, "Well, that's not very nice." How do you tell someone that you don't have to be nice to a man who starved 5 million people to death in the Ukraine and slaughtered countless billions in his purges? Or Genghis Khan, who said that the greatest glory in life was to hear the cries of the wounded and dying conquered beneath the feet of his war horses. That's not very nice. Well, ignorance of history, of human nature and reality separates us from examples of even the most basic humor in instances when historical characters poke fun at someone. We try to remedy this in teaching, yet we're left viewing the instinctive defense of and sympathy for one of the greatest mass murderers of the century. But we'll have to remember it probably wasn't his fault. What an empirical void. Churchill was right, and you knew where he stood. Freely speaking the truth to the effective end of serving human political liberty requires a body of human common knowledge, in the hearers of such, or no resonance, no agreement occurs. No common action in support of liberty is taken, and freedom fades away in mute conformity to the energies of oppression. The lessons and examples of history must be learned, and revisionist assessments of Attila the Hun, was he really such a bad guy, conducted in the absence of any foundational moral standard, strike at the core values of Judeo-Christian Western civilization and guarantee further distortion of reality. The extent to which new languages of euphemism effectively deny the possibility of any common concept of morality and hence order in society, since all law is the institutionalization of someone's concept of what is moral, proper, and acceptable, is shown in the glorification of, and this is my last point, cultural identity and autonomy instead of God as the source of truth. It has become a major weapon to those who seek to silence the speech, for instance, of anyone daring to historically compare Aztec human sacrifice in its massive scale to the Nazi Holocaust, or to similarly assert the parallels of the Dred Scott decision on slavery and the Roe v. Wade decision on abortion, where in both instances judicial fiat denied the humanity of people who were people. Himmler and Heydrich, your work goes on. Contemporary scholarship glorifies Aztec architecture, agriculture, political structure, and so on, but minimizes the vastness of its human sacrifice, on which I will spare you comment. The adamance and selective indignation of moral relativists in opposing the speech of those who decry what amounts to the pre-Columbian Holocaust perpetrated by the Aztecs for the sake of their elevation of Aztec cultural autonomy have to realize that with cosmic coincidence, the original defense, and note this, the original defense proffered by the Nazis at Nuremberg war crimes trials was that they could not be judged because as a government of a sovereign nation, they had been within their legal prerogatives to determine whether or not to exterminate Judaism. Cultural autonomy in both instances. So, is eternal vigilance the price of liberty? Yes, with free speech at the core. And those founders of our nation understood that freedom is fragile and depends on a principle of moral agreement. But are we a people who have become indifferent to the zealous guardianship of inestimable liberties because of the appeal of the comfort of conformity? If that becomes the case, then Orwellian doublethink prevails, and tyranny with it. I'm reminded of the words of a hymn commemorating the Pilgrim Fathers. O Lord, beneath thy guiding hand, our exiled fathers crossed the waves, and where they trod the wintry strand, the God they trusted guards their graves. Friends, let our prayers daily be that we serve as well, at least, and the defense of liberty as those who have gone before us. Thank you.